Did you know that what you do in your garden this very month completely determines whether you get a few tiny handfuls of sour berries or overflowing buckets of the absolute sweetest fruit you have ever tasted? Welcome back to the garden. Today we are focusing on the most crucial time of the year for your fruit yield. I promise you that by the end of this video, you will know exactly how to feed, prune, and protect your plants for an unbelievable summer harvest. But here is a wild and provocative thought to start us off. Most people are actually destroying their harvest right now by watering their plants every single day, thinking they are doing a good thing. Are you guilty of this common mistake? Let me know down in the comments if you water your garden every day, or if you wait for the soil to dry out, because you might just be drowning your chances of a great yield. Let us dive right into the ultimate step-by-step instruction for a massive berry harvest. Let us take a quick step back and look at the fascinating roots of summer gardening. For hundreds of years, experienced farmers have known that the dramatic transition from the cool spring into the hot summer is the absolute make-or-break period for any fruit-bearing plant. June is a highly critical biological window. Your plants have completely exhausted their initial spring energy by pushing out fresh leaves and early blossoms. Now, they desperately need a completely different type of environmental fuel to turn those tiny green nubs into plump, juicy, and sweet berries. If we look closely at wild berry patches in nature, the forest provides a perfect continuous balance of fallen leaf mulch, natural pest deterrents, and slow-release soil nutrients. Today we are going to recreate that ancient, natural balance right in your own backyard, using a few simple, modern tricks that require very little effort but deliver maximum results. So let us start with the massive biological shift your plants are going through right now. Understanding this June transition is the true secret to easy berry bush care. In early spring, your plants were in a vegetative growth state, meaning they put all their energy into growing bright green leaves and stretching out their roots. But now that June has arrived, their biological clock has flipped a switch. They are fully entering the reproductive phase. This means they want to produce delicious fruit. But here is where so many well-meaning gardeners get it completely wrong. There is a stubborn myth that you should keep pumping your plants full of high nitrogen fertilizer all summer long. If you do that right now, you will end up with a massive, beautifully green bush that produces almost zero berries. It is exactly like feeding an athlete nothing but candy before a marathon. Instead, you must transition your feeding strategy to strictly support flower and fruit development. By adjusting your care routine to focus on the fruit, you are basically speaking the language of the plant and telling it exactly what you want it to do. Now that we understand the plant phase, let us tackle the great watering paradigm. When it comes to simplified garden hydration, the way you water in June dictates the size of your fruit. You might think that giving your bushes a little splash of water every day is the best approach, but that is a huge misconception. The myth that daily shallow watering helps plants survive the heat is entirely false. Shallow watering trains the plant roots to stay right at the hot surface of the soil. When a really hot day hits, those roots bake, and your berries shrivel up into hard little raisins. A brilliant illustration of this is to think of your garden soil like a thick sponge. If you just mist the top of the sponge, the bottom stays completely dry. You need to water deeply and heavily, maybe just 2 or 3 times a week, allowing the water to soak far down into the earth. This encourages the roots to grow incredibly deep, where the soil stays cool and moist even on the hottest summer afternoons. Deep watering is the ultimate key to plump and heavy fruit. Moving right along, we absolutely must talk about the magical power of mulch. If you want truly effortless summer gardening, putting down a thick layer of mulch in June is non-negotiable. Many beginners fall for the myth that bare, dark soil looks cleaner and is therefore much healthier for the plants. In reality, bare soil in the summer is a disaster waiting to happen. The hot sun beats down, evaporates all your precious water and bakes the fragile roots. Adding a 3 to 4 inch layer of clean straw, pine needles, or wood chips acts exactly like a thick, protective blanket for your garden. Imagine stepping out onto a hot paved driveway in your bare feet versus stepping onto a cool, shaded lawn. That is exactly how your plant roots feel when you apply a generous layer of mulch. Not only does this cool the root zone drastically, but as the mulch slowly breaks down over the summer, it gently feeds the soil ecosystem, creating a rich environment that produces the sweetest possible harvest. Let us dive into the massive debate between organic and synthetic feeding strategies. For optimal berry production, you need to provide fuel that the plant can actually use without burning its roots. A common myth is that harsh chemical fertilizers will magically make your berries taste sweeter and grow faster. While synthetics might give a very rapid burst of green growth, they often wash away quickly and do nothing to improve the actual flavor of the fruit. Think of synthetic fertilizer like drinking a huge, sugary energy drink. You get a quick buzz, but then you crash hard. Organic feeding, on the other hand, is like eating a wholesome, hearty meal that keeps you energized all day long. In June, you want to apply a gentle, slow-release organic fertilizer. Materials like rich compost, well-aged manure, or an organic berry mix will slowly break down with every deep watering. This provides a steady, reliable stream of nutrition precisely when the bush needs it to swell up those berries to an enormous size. Now, let us talk about the specific nutrient that acts as the absolute secret weapon for your June harvest. That nutrient is potassium. When we talk about targeted plant nutrition, potassium is the heavyweight champion. Many people think that a standard, all-purpose garden fertilizer is always enough for every stage of growth. That is simply a myth. While general fertilizers are fine for spring, June demands a heavy potassium boost. Potassium is responsible for moving water and carbohydrates inside the plant tissues. It is literally the element that makes your fruit larger, heavier, and incredibly sweet. A great illustration of this is adding sugar to a cake recipe. Without it, the structure is there, but the delightful flavor is completely missing. To get this crucial potassium into your soil right now, you can use organic solutions like kelp meal, liquid seaweed extract, or even specialized wood ash applied very sparingly. Giving your plants this specific boost in June will transform tart, disappointing fruits into sweet, irresistible garden candy. While potassium brings the sweet flavor, there is another critical element you must provide right now to protect your harvest, and that is calcium. Calcium is the building block of cell walls. Without enough calcium, your berries will become soft, mushy, and highly susceptible to rot before you even get a chance to pick them. A very persistent gardening myth is that you can just toss some crushed eggshells around the base of the plant in June and fix the problem instantly. Unfortunately, raw eggshells take months or even years to break down enough for the plant to actually absorb the calcium. Think of building a tall brick wall. You can have all the bricks in the world, but without strong mortar to hold them together, the wall will easily collapse. Calcium is that vital mortar for your berries. To provide a fast-acting calcium boost in June, you should use a liquid calcium spray applied directly to the leaves, or mix a highly soluble calcium product into your watering can. This ensures firm, beautiful fruit that stores perfectly in your kitchen. Let us shift our focus to a specific June task for strawberry growers, which is managing those wild, creeping runners. For easy strawberry maintenance, you must be extremely ruthless right now. A strawberry plant will naturally try to send out long vines, called runners, to create brand new baby plants. The terrible myth here is that letting all these new plants grow will immediately give you more berries this very season. In reality, every single runner acts like a tiny vampire, sucking vital energy directly away from the developing fruit on the mother plant. Imagine a runner as a thief running away with your plant's precious energy reserves. If you want huge strawberries this month, you must grab your garden snips and cut off those runners the moment you see them starting to form. By constantly severing these vines, you force the mother plant to redirect 100% of her focus and energy straight into fattening up the berries. You can always let a few runners grow later in the fall if you want to expand your garden bed. If you are growing raspberries, June is the absolutely critical time for strategic cane pruning. When we talk about maximizing raspberry yields, airflow is the most important factor. Many gardeners operate under the myth that you should never cut away any green, healthy-looking growth during the summer, believing that more leaves always equal more fruit. This is a fatal mistake for raspberries. Your raspberry patch can quickly turn into an incredibly dense, overgrown jungle. When the canes are packed too tightly together, sunlight cannot reach the inner branches, and dangerous moisture gets trapped in the leaves. It is exactly like trying to breathe in a tiny, crowded room with no windows open. You need to identify the weakest, thinnest new canes emerging from the soil and cut them completely down to the ground. You want to leave only the thickest, strongest canes, spaced about 6 inches apart from each other. Opening up this space allows fresh air to breeze through and lets the hot summer sun ripen every single hidden berry. Now let us discuss a very specific requirement for anyone growing blueberries this summer. The absolute key to simplified blueberry care is strictly managing the soil acidity. Blueberries are unique because they demand a very low, acidic pH level to properly absorb nutrients from the soil. The most common myth is that simply dropping a handful of pine needles on the ground will magically acidify your soil overnight. While pine needles make a decent mulch, they do almost nothing to rapidly change the actual pH of the earth. Trying to grow blueberries in normal garden soil is like trying to make lemonade without using any lemons. The plant will simply turn yellow and refuse to grow fruit. In June, you should test your soil and apply a targeted acidic fertilizer or a specialized soil acidifier containing elemental sulfur. By maintaining that perfectly tart soil environment, you ensure that your blueberry bushes can easily drink up all the iron and nutrients they need to produce massive clusters of deep blue fruit. As the June weather heats up, we inevitably run into the massive problem of summer pest invasions, specifically the dreaded aphids. When it comes to natural pest control, early detection is your greatest weapon. Aphids are tiny, soft-bodied insects that cluster on the newest, most tender growth of your berry bushes, sucking out the sugary plant sap. A very dangerous myth is that you must immediately reach for a harsh, toxic chemical pesticide to kill them. Spraying poisons will certainly kill the aphids, but it will also kill all the beneficial insects that actually help your garden thrive. A brilliant illustration of natural defense is introducing ladybugs. Ladybugs are like the ferocious little lions of the garden ecosystem, and they love to devour aphids by the hundreds. You can easily knock early aphid clusters off your plants with a strong blast of water from your garden hose, or apply a gentle organic neem oil spray in the late evening. Protecting your plants naturally ensures your harvest remains completely safe and chemical-free. Another devastating pest that shows up right around June is the notorious Japanese beetle. For effective beetle management, you need a smart, physical strategy. These shiny, metallic-looking bugs will land on your berry bushes and completely skeletonize the leaves in a matter of days, destroying the plant's ability to photosynthesize. The biggest myth in the gardening world is that you should buy those yellow beetle traps and hang them right next to your precious berry bushes. This is a massive mistake. Those traps use incredibly strong pheromones to attract the beetles. Placing a trap near your garden is like sending out VIP invitations to the beetles, basically begging them to come crash your dinner party. Instead, if you use traps, place them at the absolute farthest edge of your property, far away from your food. For the bushes themselves, the absolute best method is simply walking out in the early, cool morning with a bucket of soapy water and gently knocking the sleepy beetles right off the leaves into the bucket. Beyond insects, June brings the silent threat of fungal diseases, particularly the dreaded powdery mildew. When discussing easy disease prevention, moisture control is the single most important factor. Powdery mildew looks exactly like someone came along and dusted a fine white flour all over the leaves of your plants. A widespread myth is that fungal diseases only happen when it rains heavily for weeks on end. In reality, high summer humidity mixed with poor airflow is more than enough to trigger a massive fungal outbreak. Think of leaving a damp towel bunched up in a warm corner. It gets musty very quickly. Your plant leaves act the exact same way. To prevent this, you must keep the center of your bushes appropriately pruned to allow the wind to blow through. Furthermore, whenever you water your plants, always aim the water directly at the soil level. Never spray the leaves from above. Keeping the foliage completely dry during the hot summer days is your best defense against devastating fungal spores. Let us take a moment to appreciate and encourage the absolute most important workers in your June garden, the amazing pollinators. For maximized fruit development, you desperately need bees and butterflies to visit your flowers. It is a strange myth that berries will just magically appear on the bush all by themselves as long as the plant is healthy. The truth is, every single blossom requires an insect to transfer pollen multiple times to create a perfectly shaped, fully formed berry. Imagine the bees as an essential delivery service for your garden. If the delivery drivers do not show up, the package never gets completed. If a strawberry flower is poorly pollinated, the resulting fruit will be small, hard, and terribly deformed. To guarantee a massive harvest, you should actively plant bright, nectar-rich companion flowers like marigolds, borage, or lavender right next to your berry bushes. Drawing these beautiful pollinators into your yard right now will double or even triple your fruit yield almost effortlessly. By mid-June, your plants have been working incredibly hard, and it is the perfect time for a strategy known as top dressing. This is a brilliant technique for effortless nutrient boosting. Top dressing simply means adding a fresh layer of highly nutritious material right onto the top of the soil, underneath the mulch. The common myth is that you only ever need to fertilize once in the very early spring, and then you are totally done for the year. But remember, the plant is currently using massive amounts of energy to swell the fruit. It needs a mid-season snack. Think of top dressing like taking a high-quality daily multivitamin when you are working long hours. By spreading a few handfuls of rich earthworm castings or premium-aged compost around the base of your berry bushes in June, you provide a gentle, immediate boost of easily accessible nutrients. Every time you water or it rains, those amazing nutrients filter right down to the root zone, keeping the plant vigorous and strong. As your beautiful berries finally start to turn red and blue, you will face a brand new enemy from the sky. It is time to talk about physical bird protection. Birds have incredibly sharp eyesight, and they watch your garden waiting for the exact moment the fruit becomes perfectly ripe. A very popular myth is that hanging a few pieces of shiny reflective tape or placing a plastic owl nearby will keep the birds away forever. While these tricks might work for a day or two, birds are highly intelligent and quickly realize the plastic owl is entirely fake. Trying to scare them away is like trying to guard the crown jewels with a cardboard cutout of a security guard. The only truly effective, foolproof method is setting up a physical barrier. You need to carefully drape high-quality, lightweight garden netting completely over your bushes, making sure it reaches all the way down to the ground. This simple physical fortress guarantees that you get to eat the sweet berries, not the local flock of birds. While we are protecting the harvest, we must also eliminate the silent thieves growing right around the roots. Managing weed competition in June is vital for a stress-free garden. Weeds grow explosively fast in the summer heat. The dangerous myth is that a few weeds here and there actually provide beneficial ground cover to keep the soil cool. Do not be fooled. Every single weed is actively stealing precious water, vital potassium, and necessary nitrogen directly from your berry bushes. Imagine hosting a small, intimate dinner party, and suddenly 20 uninvited guests show up and quickly eat all the delicious snacks before your friends even get a bite. That is exactly what weeds do to your fertilizer. You must take 10 minutes every week to gently pull these resource thieves out by the roots. Keeping the zone immediately around the base of your berry bushes completely weed-free ensures that every drop of water and every ounce of nutrition goes exclusively into making your fruit larger and sweeter. Let us revisit the critical topic of hydration to discuss the exact timing of your watering routine. The debate between morning versus evening watering is highly contested, but the science is very clear for berry bushes. Many people believe the myth that watering late at night is the absolute best method because it supposedly saves the most water from evaporating in the sun. While you do save a tiny bit of water, watering at night is incredibly dangerous for the health of your plants. If the leaves get wet in the evening, they stay damp all night long, creating the perfect, dark breeding ground for terrible fungal diseases. It is exactly like going to bed with soaking wet hair and waking up with a terrible cold. The ultimate time to water your berry bushes is early in the morning, right around sunrise. This gives the deep soil plenty of time to soak up the moisture and gives the warm morning sun time to completely dry off any accidental splashes on the leaves, keeping the entire plant perfectly healthy. As you spend time in your garden this month, you must know how to quickly read the warning signs your plants are giving you. Recognizing early nutrient deficiencies is a crucial skill for successful fruit cultivation. The most common sign of distress in June is when the leaves start turning a pale yellow, but the veins of the leaf remain dark green. This condition is known as chlorosis. The immediate myth that beginners jump to is that yellowing leaves always mean the plant is just incredibly thirsty and needs more water immediately. Overwatering a plant that is already struggling will actually suffocate the roots. Think of the yellow leaf as the plant frantically waving a bright yellow flag, begging for specific help. In most cases, this intervenal yellowing is a clear cry for a dose of liquid iron or magnesium. By carefully inspecting the leaves once a week, you can catch these minor nutritional hiccups early and apply a targeted foliar spray to fix the issue before it affects the size of your harvest. We are finally reaching the most exciting part of the process, which is knowing the absolute perfect moment to harvest your fruit. Perfecting your picking technique requires a bit of patience and a lot of observation. A very widespread myth among new gardeners is that berries will simply continue to sweeten and ripen significantly sitting on your kitchen counter after you pick them. Unlike bananas or avocados, most berries, especially strawberries and raspberries, stop developing their sugars the exact second you pull them off the plant. Picking a berry too early is exactly like pulling a beautiful cake out of the oven 20 minutes before it is fully baked. It might look somewhat done on the outside, but it will be thoroughly disappointing when you bite into it. You must wait until the fruit is deeply, completely colored all the way up to the green leafy cap. It should practically fall off into your hand with the gentlest touch. Waiting for that perfect sun-warmed ripeness ensures the absolute best flavor experience possible. Finally, as June draws to a close, you must take proactive steps to prepare your berry patch for the brutal, unforgiving heat wave that July inevitably brings. Anticipating extreme heat stress is the final step in our ultimate summer care guide. The dangerous myth is that mature plants will simply adapt to massive temperature spikes all on their own without any extra help. In reality, extreme heat can cause the plant to drop its remaining blossoms and abort the late-season fruit. Preparing your garden is like packing a massive, sturdy umbrella right before a major storm hits. To defend your plants, you should double-check that your mulch layer is completely intact and heavily reinforced. If you live in an exceptionally hot climate, you might even consider setting up a temporary, breathable shade cloth over the most sensitive bushes during the peak afternoon sun. By actively defending your plants right now, you guarantee that your harvest will continue to surprise everyone for many weeks to come. And there you have it. The most surprising turning point in all of this is realizing that getting an unbelievable harvest is not about working harder or spending hours in the sun. It is simply about working smarter and understanding exactly what your plants are trying to tell you during this massive biological shift in June. By transitioning to potassium-rich organic feeding, watering deeply instead of daily, and physically protecting your garden from cunning pests, you are setting the stage for a spectacular yield. These small, deliberate actions right now are the difference between a frustrating garden and a backyard overflowing with the sweetest fruit imaginable. I want to thank you so much for watching and growing alongside us today. If you learned something new, please subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. Before you go, tell me, what is the absolute biggest challenge you are currently facing with your berry bushes this summer? Let us discuss your garden in the comments.